Hey everybody, Josh Bess here, and right now I'm going to show you how to transform a small 16-bar loop into a full song. For music producers and modern-day music creators, creating short musical ideas is a very quick and simple thing to do for many people, but turning this small idea into a full song is one of the most difficult things, and is one of the main reasons why people have folders full of unfinished songs, and others with possibly even no finished songs at all. So here's a quick and simple way to transform these small ideas into a full song. So right now I'll show you a quick run through of the idea, and then afterwards I'll go through the whole topic in full detail. Right now I have my friend Hansol's song All Right, and I'm going to deconstruct how he created this 7.5-minute song from these two 16-bar loops. And this idea works very well for electronic music like techno, house, and other styles that have a lot of repetition and building of percussive elements throughout a song. You can apply these ideas to other styles as well, but they definitely work best for creating music in this type of genre. Basically, I have this song, and I labeled out the form of the song using MIDI clips and a MIDI track above it, so you can visually see the song form. And you can see I broke up this whole song into two different sections, main and break. And just so you know, these MIDI tracks don't actually contain any audio. I simply created them to represent what's going on in the original song. So, for example, this main section, main full, is a 16-bar loop, and it contains various instruments within the section. There's a kick, clap, hi-hats, open hi-hat, percussion sounds, bass, vocals, and a synth track. And throughout this entire song, Hansol simply took this one section and created different variations of this loop throughout the entire song, using different parts between each section. For example, this section only has the kick, clap, hi-hat, and percussion. The next part has a vocal added in. The next part adds in the bass, etc. And by creating different combinations of these tracks here throughout the song, he was able to create a lot of different musical ideas to drive this song for over 7 minutes without it feeling boring. And the same idea is applied to the break section. He simply created different combinations of these clips for each break. And the thing that really ties this together as a full song are the builds and hits, with the use of effects like sweeps, impacts, cymbal hits, and other sounds to bring feeling and movement to the song. And with sections like this, where volume fades and audio effects processing are incorporated, this really brings a new variation and movement to the song. So based on all of this, you can see creating a long song is actually a lot more simple than you think, especially if you're creating a house or techno song or something in a similar style. If you have a great sounding 16-bar loop with a good choice of sound elements, of course this is the most important part, you can stretch them out with a lot of simple and creative ideas to create a full song. So that was simply explaining how this idea is applied. Now, I'll go through the entire song and deconstruct how Hansol actually applied all these ideas to his entire song. So if you're interested in seeing how this works in more detail, I think you'll really enjoy this next part, as you'll be able to apply all these ideas to your own original music as well. Okay, so here's the first 16-bar loop that contains all of the main elements for this entire song. Every sound you hear in this entire song, except for the break section, comes from these parts over here. And this section contains a kick track, clap, 2 different closed hi-hats, an open hi-hat, a ride cymbal, 3 different percussion loops, a bass track, 3 different vocal samples, and a synth track. And for a tune like this, these are great elements to work with, because since all the tracks are being played at the same time and they work, we know that we could take any combination of them and put them in any order, and we can really create any arrangement that we want from this simple idea. So this is how the whole song is formed out. I have this main section here, and I labeled it green, and all of the yellow sections are simply variations of the main loop that's played throughout this entire song. So, for example, for the beginning of the song, I'll copy these clips over to the beginning. If I highlight them all, when I hold Option, I can drag them over and they'll be copied, and I'll make them the same size as this section, and we'll listen to this. And you can hear that this section only has the kick, the clap, the hi-hat, and a percussion loop. So I'll delete everything else that's not in this section. And we can easily see what's actually going on in this song's intro. And you can hear in the second part, the vocal sample comes in. So I'll bring this green section over again. Okay. And instead of actually deleting them, I'll click on the clip and hit the 0 key. This will deactivate the clips. So the green clips will represent the active tracks. And once again, these clips don't actually contain any audio. They're simply being used to represent the tracks within the original song. So I'll play this. So this part has a little vocal sample come in. And then there's a noise build at the end of the section. These are helpful for connecting different sections throughout a full song using noise builds and effects like this. And a cymbal hit is added at the start of the next section. And this next part, it's all the same parts, but this open hi-hat comes in along with the bass line. So this part has no bass line, then it comes in during the third section. And while this is playing back, I'll start adding in the other parts throughout the entire song. And then the break comes in, but I'll save that for later. I could gladly work in a society. This next section here, another vocal sample comes in, along with the ride cymbal and some other parts. And this part here has a third vocal part where he says, right. It's a really small and simple thing, but these small changes are what allow this song to progress and move along without becoming too repetitive. So it's good to have those little things in there, even if it's like a small little vocal chop that changes things up. And you can see this is all stemmed from this one 16-bar loop over here. And the different combinations of tracks being played allow this to stretch for over 5 minutes so far. And once again, one of the main things that allows the song to move from section to section is with the sound effects like white noise, cymbal hits, as these are used to bring movement and energy to each new section. It's a very small thing, but it allows you to kind of understand that something is changing and we're moving to a new part. And yeah, being a drummer, this is something that I always kind of incorporated into songs I was creating with people. Even having a simple drum fill or a cymbal hit or something allowed the section to move over to something else. So yeah, you could apply these same ideas with sound effects like this. It's pretty much the same thing. And from here, the rest of the song is really all based on the same idea, along with adding some new variations to the parts. So let's keep moving forward. This section repeats, so I'll copy this over again. Then main 8 is actually a little different. The clap part fades in volume. Same with the hi-hat. There's no ride cymbal. There's no vocal 3. The vocals fade in. And you can see that these elements are being manipulated in a different way with really simple processing, like simple volume movements and simple things that allow this to change over to a new section, you know? It's like, instead of just having this repeat the same bars over and over again, you could apply these small changes within the song, and these small ideas allow the song to move in a new way, you know? It's like, just, you know, it allows it to not sound so repetitive in the end. And then in the end, the main synth and other driving elements like hi-hat 2, the ride cymbal, things like this are taken out to bring the energy back down again. So it's like he's using these ideas to bring the song up in energy, and then he's taking out elements to bring it down. So once again, these are all super simple ideas, but it allows the song to move in a different way. So never be too simple with things. So for example, the bass drives the groove in the song whenever it's in. The fast hi-hat patterns like hi-hat 2, for example, adds more movement to the sound. The ride cymbal adds a faster movement to the sound. Percussion 3 adds some extra movement. So after the first break, almost all of the parts were in the song, but you can see that percussion 3 was saved up until after the second break because he wanted to bring more drive and power to that section. And that's really the main idea of this whole lesson. It's to understand what elements make up this whole song and how to apply them to whatever you're making. You know, it's not so much to copy or do exactly what he's doing in this song, but it's to understand what elements he's using to bring up the intensity, bring it down again. Like what creates a break, what creates anything, you know, whatever creates any kind of movement in a song. And just to finish this off, I'll do the same thing with the break section. I can copy this over here to the break section.
I could gladly work in a society without being motivated by salary or special benefits. I'm so purely socialistic, and some of my family is so purely socialistic. Some of the members of this glorious temple are so purely socialistic.
The hi-hat 2 comes in after 8 bars.
To see that everyone has the same kind of house.
And there's no snare built in this one, so I'll delete this.
If you want your car painted differently, that'd be alright. I could gladly work in a society without being motivated by salary or special benefits.
Copy this over. And the speaking track, vocal 4 is actually replaced with vocal 3 from the main section. And then the speaking track comes back in here.
I could gladly work in a society without being motivated by salary or special benefits. I'm so purely socialistic, and some of my family is so purely socialistic. Some of the members of this glorious temple are so purely socialistic that you'd be glad to see that everyone had the same kind of house, the same kind of car. What do you want your car painted differently? That'd be alright.
And that's the full song. You can see I started out with this one 16-bar loop for the main section and another 16-bar loop for the break section. And from these two loops, a whole song was created that's over 7.5 minutes long. So yeah, you can definitely use these thoughts to apply to your own music as well. If you're making electronic music and you have some great sounding loops, you can easily extend them into a full song like this. And even if you're not creating like techno or house or anything like that, if you have, like a song with an intro, a verse, a chorus, a break, like more traditional song form type elements, you can still apply all these same ideas to that to, change your ideas and sketches into a full piece of music. So yeah, you can apply this to really any style of music that you're creating. So hope you enjoy these ideas, enjoy creating new music, and I'll see you soon. Enjoy.